Well, this 4th of July, millions of Americans are hitting the road to visit family, go on vacation. Today, we dig into it, all the traveling, the safety, and a few tricks to make your drive better. First, we're going to turn our attention to two deadly crashes. Just this past weekend, two pedestrians, one in Greensboro, one in Wilkesboro, died while trying to cross highways. This is part of a worrying trend. A newly released report by the Governor's Highway Safety Association shows pedestrian deaths rose 77% in the U.S. between 2010 and 2022. Nationally, on average, 20 pedestrians die from being hit by cars every day. A representative says more deaths are happening thanks to more larger cars being on the road.
We've seen a huge uptick in people driving SUVs and pickup trucks. These vehicles have a higher, they sit higher off the ground. So when they do strike a pedestrian, they're more likely to do significant harm to that person, to their bodily organs and so forth. And people can't survive these kinds of impacts.
The group is urging state officials to focus on designing safer streets that allow for bikers and walkers and drivers to all travel safely. The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety is focusing on making those larger cars safer. The best-selling SUVs, the Chevrolet Tahoe, the Ford Expedition, they underperformed in crash testing recently.
What these tests have told us is that having a bigger, heavier vehicle does not always mean safer.
The testing expert says most car companies are quick to pull together engineers to improve safety features. He says the Tahoe and Expedition need to work on protecting passengers in a head-on collision. Well, AAA says flat tires are one of the most common reasons that drivers call them for help. Owner of Hudson Auto Works, Josh Hudson, shared a recommendation with us of how to know if your tires are too worn out for your next road trip.
A good way to do that is if you have a penny, if you turn the penny upside down, if you can see Abraham Lincoln's head, that's actually a good sign of you need to replace your tires. So if you don't have a normal tire gauge, this is a tire wear gauge right here. I don't know if you can see this or not. This is what most of your shops use. Most people don't have this at their house, but most people have a penny. So if you flip the penny upside down, you stick it in there and you can see his head or close to the top of his head, you probably should look at getting quotes or having them replaced.
Hudson says it is best practice to always ask your service provider to check the basics, of course, when it comes to preventative maintenance. Night driving, especially in places we're not all that familiar with, well, it requires that our headlights work like they should. You might have seen some life hacks online that say you can clean off your older headlights with bug spray or with toothpaste. But does that actually work? Well, we did the experiment for you today. First, this is what the headlights look like before our experiment, so you can see that they're a little foggy there. Let's take a look. On the first headlight, we sprayed normal bug spray on it, and then we sprayed a little bit of water and we wiped it down. Well, it made a difference. Look at that. The cleaned headlight is much clearer than before. Now we're going to try the toothpaste on the other headlight. So we used an entire travel-size roll of Sensodyne toothpaste. After completely covering the headlight, we sprayed water and wiped it down as well. It took multiple water sprays to get rid of all that toothpaste we put on there. And let's take a look at that before and after. It is clearer, but not as clear as the one with the bug spray. So we can take a look at that finished product. Clearly the bug spray worked a little bit better than the toothpaste, but be careful because car gurus say bug spray can damage your car paint and maybe even the plastic. So let's take a look now at the rules of the road. Some common road laws, like if you need to use your windshield wipers when it's raining, or if you're allowed to turn on your hazards, well, that varies state by state. Let's verify what the laws are in North Carolina.
Our sources for these questions: Jen Thompson, a communications officer for the North Carolina Department of Transportation; Tiffany Wright, the director of public affairs for AAA of the Carolinas, North Carolina law, and South Carolina law. The first question: do you have to have your headlights on when using your windshield wipers in North and South Carolina?
Both North and South Carolina law clearly state drivers are required to turn on their headlights while operating windshield wipers during inclement weather.
Anytime we're talking about inclement weather, anytime your view is going to be obstructed. So we're talking about fog. We're talking about anytime there's snow, there's rain, there's sleet. Anytime that you're using your windshield wipers, you have to have your headlights on.
I think it's the WOLO that you hear people say, wipers on, lights on. So you can kind of remember that acronym.
So we can verify that, yes, you have to have your headlights on when using your windshield wipers in North and South Carolina. The second question, is it illegal to drive with your hazards on when it rains?
According to AAA, in about half of U.S. states, it's illegal to drive anywhere with your hazard lights on. That's not the case in the Carolinas. Drivers here can use their hazard lights when driving. There's no law preventing it, but officials say it's not the safest option.
Hazards during inclement weather can really distract other motorists. It can be a hazard for other motorists on the roadway. So it's not recommended that you use them.
I can see that it can make you look more visible when you see someone driving without their lights on versus having hazard lights on. But I think if you can just leave them off, drive at a slower speed.
So we can verify that, no, it is not illegal to drive with your hazards on when it rains, but officials don't recommend it.
Well, we hope you have safe travels, whether you're going near or far this holiday week. Thanks for joining us for Dig Into It today. WFMY News 2 at 6 is next.